Hey guys, what's been happening? Welcome back to more second generation. Now today we're gonna be having an Ubers match. This match in particular, this is a crazy match. This is personally my first Uber match I ever had, second generation that is, and it really got me knowing the competitive aspect is crazy. It's totally different from anything I have ever played. Second generation Ubers, that is what it's all about. I'm not kidding guys, you gotta try this. It is brilliant. This game is around 55 minutes long. Anyways, I'm gonna go for the spikes. Being that Ubers are quite restricted by the limit of their capabilities, we only have 5 Ubers, truly Ubers, in their tiers. But we can always use their wild card. So in this case, I'm running a Fortress. I'm trying to put up the second layer of spikes, but he's got a Nidoking switching in, and the second layer didn't work. I don't understand why the second layer didn't work out. But that does heavily cripple my strategy around Melody, which is actually my whirlwinding Pokemon. Tends to phase away their setup, and with her amazing bulk she can pretty much sponge even the super effective moves quite easily and pretty fast to recover on top of it all. So that's heavily gonna cripple my strategy around Melody, not to mention that I'm not running curse of any sort. So right now that knowledge I have gained from the spikes, yeah, it's not gonna be suiting for this team, but we're gonna try to play around it anyway. So I'm gonna switch out to legit DNA, kinda trying to predict that Fire Blast, but he actually decided to go for the good old T-Bolt, predicting me to switch out. That was a nice play on his part, but now I'm kinda skeptical. You know what? I may switch out, but then again, I may just stay in and fear. I did T-Bolt first turn, predicting him to switch out, but now he's probably gonna think that I'm just gonna play it safe with Sahik. The reason I switch out to Mewtwo was to kinda bluff. I have Sahik, but I don't have it. That's something he still doesn't know. It's pretty early in the game, and that was actually a pretty nice bluff on my part, because as you can see, there is really not much I can do, and he can still lovely kiss me. But then again, I do have a Heal Beller on my team, which I would have probably go to it, but it would have still been a pain, because you need to preserve as much Pokemon in Ubers as you possibly can. Ubers is quite dangerous tier. Once something goes down in your team, you better be damn sure that thing is useless and you have pretty much destroyed the Pokemon. You need that Pokemon in particular against it, because it is important. It comes down to a situation where you cannot even touch them, and it comes down to who sets up first or proceeds to wall you first. But he's gonna self-destruct as I was going for the submission. I guess he didn't really see that coming. Did take him off guard. But unfortunately I curse on that turn, predicting him to switch out, but he did just go for the explosion. Another submission would have probably been, enough to take him out, so I was kind of predicting him to rest, to preserve, to switch out, preserve his Snorlax. But I guess really, in all respect, maybe he doesn't have a Celebi. This kind of got me knowing he probably doesn't have a Celebi. He didn't go for the rest later on. He just had that Snorlax, is just there being totally offensive and all. Tyranitar versus Mewtwo, not the best choice. I'm going to switch out to my Melody. And now I'm probably gonna go for the Toxic on that turn, but I believe I have missed, which is a problem because I would rather have this Mewtwo poisoned. After gaining the knowledge of him lacking Celebi with Heal Bell, his team is probably weak to poison in general, so wearing them down easily and slowly can definitely go greatly into the benefits of this team in order to handle them much more easier than I would have had, if I would have not poisoned them. But in this case, he does switch out to his good old Nidoking, and I'm not really looking too good in this case. I'm just gonna switch out to those Ubers to kind of predict the lovely kiss. I want my Fortress to go to sleep, seeing that spikes are not gonna be working, seeing it early in the game. I only put up one layer of spikes. The second one for some reason didn't work out. You guys can tell me what this is. Maybe it's an emulator, ROM, just the whole thing glitching out. But for now I'm gonna switch out to Ho-Oh to try to kind of try to scout his movesets. Nidoking is an absolute essence. It is a good Pokemon in Ubers. Never seen it. The majority I've seen is like Tyranitar, consider wild cards, and maybe Blissey, because Tyranitar can majority of things. It can super effect hit, and with that crunch and a rock slide against the Ho and so forth. It is a great Pokemon to have, and that's the reason I have one with the barrier that's gonna wake me up from the possible lovely kiss and so forth. But in this case, I'm gonna switch out to my my good old Celebi. Again, keep on switching out, putting the rock slide from Nidoking against the Ho-Oh, but he actually just decided to go for the T-Bolt, which was kind of confusing because outside of him getting the paralyzation on that turn, little hacks, the T-Bolt isn't even looking like a 4-hit kill against the Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is way too bulky for Nidoking to really be threatened you know, threatening against. Not to mention that Rock Slide is maybe a solid 2 hit, but definitely not a 1 hit because of the major bulk Ho does have in the unstab. But now I'm kind of gaining the knowledge that he isn't running Rock Slide with it, because he would most likely go for it. But I did lead seed his incoming switch, his Lugia, and proceed to go to those Ubers, as he did get a crit with Aeroblast. Now, I should have run Aeroblast on my Lugia, but I was kind of thinking that Fly is going to be a bit better to, you know, kind of get that turn in and kind of hit their next incoming Pokemon, as Spikes are going to rack up, and Toxic on, you know, after that and so forth. You know, Spikes forcing them to recover eventually as I Toxic, and yeah, it's not going to be working out. But he did curse as I decided to go for the Explosion, you know, have their defense there, but Lugia still managed to take it with complete ease. And now my names of this Pokemon are not, yeah, they're messed up, because Hellhound was normally my Houndoom, Second Generation God was normally my Snorlax. So in this case, the names are definitely messed up. So I want you guys to kind of, you know, kind of ignore this little mistake I've done here. It's definitely something I will fix later on. But you know, Tyranitar definitely doesn't look like a Hellhound. Yeah. Here he's gonna go for the Earthquake. I actually decided to go for the Rock Slide, but that was not even enough, and I guess he was underestimating the Lugia after the bulk up, after the curse, that is. And that was kind of costing him, because he could have easily recovered and stall me a little bit. And not to mention that, yeah, I guess he was kind of predicting the possible crunch, and seeing that he did get the curse up. I believe his defense was greater than his special defense, but then again, you know, Tyranitar's attack is greater than his special attack, so I'm not even sure if crunch would have been enough to take him down after that. But Mew is gonna come in here, and seeing that my Mewtwo is running Submission, I'm pretty sure this Mew must be running something of that sort. As I switch out to my Lugia, in a good memories of the second movie, I actually liked that movie when I was young. Lugia was an absolute beast. I love that Pokemon. Lugia and Ho in general, such a mysterious bird. I love it, and I love how even up to this day he's still mysterious. You know, nobody really seen him in action, like true action, like Lugia versus Ho. Make it happen. Everybody would watch that. You know, I'm just gonna do the job with Lugia. I'm looking pretty good. I'm gonna poison to Ho. Lugia, you know, it's a problem because Ho is still dishing out enough damage, but then again, I can probably recover this, and Lugia is normally faster than Ho-Oh. So when it comes down to speed, Lugia would probably win. And you know, in general, when it comes down to power, again, Lugia would probably win, because she does have the bulk. And one-on-one, Lugia would have probably been the one winning this match. Still, but I don't have the offensive moves to really be talking about this. He did get a burn. Yeah, he did kind of realize that getting a burn would have been beneficial a bit more than T-Bolt, seeing how much T-Bolt is doing. Outside of the crit, is not going to be threatening at all, and he can get a burn, which is going to be, you know, destroying my leftover recovery, and that is going to heavily cripple my Lugia's potential to wall majority of things on his team. So now I'm looking not too good, but it's impressive how Melody is taking this T-Bolt, this super effective T-Bolts from Pokemon such as Ho-Oh. Not the most special attacker out there, but it's still decent enough, and it's definitely greater than Nidoking. So see how much this does. Nidoking would have not even scratched this Pokemon, but outside of the crit, and even 2 would have not been enough. But now with the burn, he's definitely dishing out more than plenty to me. So I'm just gonna go for the Fly, try to rack up the poison a little bit. You know, Fly, it's definitely the move I should have not used. I should consider running Aeroblast, but then again, 8 PP. I was like, I want to be a bit creative with my sets. You know, my Celebi is running a Paris Sound. It's not running totally Smogon offense. You know, well, not offense. Celebi is actually a supporter with Heal Bell, Lead Seed, Recover, Psychic, and so forth. But I was like, you know what, I want to have something to kind of take my opponent at a surprise, you know, to take them off guard in that turn. And yeah, you know, it's important to be running some surprise factors in here, especially after being heavily limited. So people are most likely gonna predict the obvious stuff, you know, going against them. But now I'm like, okay, Mew isn't here, I'm faster, I should poison him, but unfortunately miss, as he's actually gonna go for the Shadow Ball, but he doesn't have any attack boost, so this is probably not gonna take me out, and that's exactly the case right here. Wow, this match is long, but I'm gonna do my best here. Hope you guys are enjoying, currently still watching the match. I'm just gonna go for Toxic. Unfortunately, I again missed, and this is important because I won this Pokemon down. But he's gonna go for Sword Dance. He's gonna start. Okay, it's all or nothing right now. It's all or nothing. I'm gonna destroy your team complete. I have a Celebi. Mew can destroy it after +2. Ho-Oh can be the only Pokemon that can stand his ground against the Mew itself. But I need it poisoned. Thankfully, I'd get a poison up there. So this is important because Burn doesn't take me out. He's just gonna go for the Shadow Ball. And that's gonna be it for my Melody. I guess if he would have, well, actually, Burn didn't take me out, so I guess I could have still had the chance to attack him and, recover and so forth. So he didn't go for the Sword Dance again, maybe putting me to switch out at the same time, but there's really not much I could have done with my Lugia later on. Majority of things does outspeed me, Mewtwo, for example. Ho-Oh, really not, but again, I need this Pokemon Poison in order for my Ho-Oh to work. A one-on-one, trying to set up, that can definitely go into my favor, but really, Poison racking up, me not really doing much damage in those certain turns, can be beneficial. In this case, I'm kind of thinking with one curse, I can probably take his Shadow Balls, even with a Sword Dance. I can probably take 2 at this point of time. I'm still not too sure, and he's actually gonna go for the Sword Dance right here, as I believe, yeah, Poison's gonna rack it up. It's important, because majority of these things tend to run recover, and I'm not gonna give him the opportunity to recover, so I'm just gonna go for the Frustration. I luckily get the critical hit right here. I'm not too sure how much this one mattered, because I'm not gonna be saying I get a crit, it didn't matter, he gets a crit on me, it matters all the time. I'm not gonna be like that, but really, it's important to know that the crit may have mattered, but then again, he does have Soft Boil, and I did miss with Toxic twice in a row, which would have pretty much preserved my Lugia. But again, there's really not much Lugia I could have done outside of recover and try to stall it out a little bit sooner than that. But still, I'm looking pretty good with my Ho-Oh. I'm looking at full HP. He's gonna go for the Soft Ball, as you can see right here. He's gonna regain much health, but the problem is he cannot really switch out because Ho-Oh does have that curse. Frustration, being quite powerful. In this case, I'm gonna go for another curse, predicting him to go for something on that sort. Not to mention that he was pretty low on his HP, so Poison would have been pretty much, taking him down to a really dangerous range. But he does get a special defend drop, which is gonna give him the opportunity to switch out to Mewtwo a bit easier and proceed to two-shot me with T-Bolt. I'm just gonna Frustration. This Mew is getting a bit heavy. It's definitely a dangerous threat. I want to take him down as soon as possible, but that Poison right there was the absolute key to the success of taking it out. Not to mention that spikes can always come in handy, a little damage there. It's important because, like I mentioned, you need to preserve all your Pokemon. I'm kind of checking my team just to be sure I have Parasol, my Celebi. It's important. I'm guessing he doesn't really realize this because normally Celebi would have been walled by Mew with Recover, and his Mewtwo, not Mew, walled by Mewtwo, and his Mewtwo would probably be walled by this Celebi if he's not running Shadow Ball. I'm not too sure if Mewtwo can get Shadow Ball. I mean, Mew can get Shadow Ball, so I'm pretty sure Mewtwo should get Shadow Ball, but his one isn't running it, so I'm looking pretty good. I'm just gonna lead seed his incoming Pokemon. If he's running Sub of any sort, surprise factor there, I'm not too sure. Maybe it's a Smogon set, Sub Mewtwo, kind of makes sense because Mewtwo is a pretty viable threat. I can always Parasound if he's running Curse, but in this case he's gonna switch out to his Nidoking, just realizing that Nidoking cannot really do much at the point of HP he's at, so he may just sack it, and he's gonna switch out to his Ho-Oh, his greatest bet against the Celebi itself. Sacred Fire 1 cannot be enough to take me out, no question about that one, that's for sure. See how much the raw power, raw defense this Celebi does have. Even a stab move from this Ho-Oh is not gonna be taking me out, especially after realizing it's special. But Tyranitar is gonna come in here, Sacred Fire, maybe he's gonna get the burn, but I do have the berry to kind of recover, plus he may just predict me to switch out to Ho-Oh this turn, switch out to his good old Mewtwo, predicting the Earthquake, trying to get some more poison in there, because Ho-Oh does, well, actually is immune to Earthquake, so in total respect that would have been actually a kind of obvious move, so I was thinking he's not gonna play this obvious, because it's just quite important to try to stall this Pokemon down as quick as possible, so I can kind of handle his Mewtwo. And this are the turns that around 10 turns before, well, around here I was mainly debating, I was looking ahead of myself on what I need to do in order to take that Mewtwo down, because the thing is, if Ho doesn't set up, it doesn't stand no chance, and there is a possibility, T-Bolt crits and so forth. You need to have those in mind, but knowing the pure fact of Ho not well, actually Celebi totally walling Mewtwo and Parasound, all I need to do is take down his Ho in some way in order to have a chance against his Mewtwo, because his Mewtwo needs to be his last Pokemon for my certain strategy to work. Now, majority of you guys may already know what I'm talking about, but we're gonna go into that as the game process forward. As he's gonna go for the T-Bolt, I'm gonna go for Sacred Fire. Sacred Fire is giving me nice additional information here, giving me knowing that even a sub Mewtwo is always gonna be there to break it. And that's important to note because you know, Sacred Fire is actually a pretty good move, and I was kind of banking on the burn, but I don't get it. But I know Celebi should probably take whatever Mewtwo packs with a T-Bolt. You know, well, it can probably take all the T-Bolts in the world from Mewtwo and kind of just PP stall him at that point. He's probably running Psychic and Submission, Curse, or maybe Recover. But as of right now, it's not looking too good for him, and I know for a fact he must be switching out to Ho-Oh. You know, I don't want to pretty much risk too much. At the same time, there's really not much to risk on pretty late in the game, and I don't want to make any risky moves that are going to be costing me too much. So as long as I can take down the Ho-Oh, I may still have a chance. But taking down the Ho-Oh is another story, you know. It is poison, so I do have an upper hand. It is lead seed. On top of it also, I switch out to my own Ho-Oh, and I come to realize that I should run Celebi with Hidden Power Bug. He does have the T-Bolt, you know, still doing enough damage to where every crit would have been quite important. But with the lead seed regaining, doesn't really look like a 2-hit from the T-Bolt from that range of HP Ho-Oh is that. And it comes down to his last remaining, so this was a struggle. This was a true struggle. It all comes down to me switching out to Celebi and trying to take down the good old Mewtwo. You know, with a couple of strategies involved. You guys already know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna switch out to second gen God, normally being my Snorlax, but the name of course being a mistake that I shall of course replace. Still, you know, Pokemon living up to its name. Grass Psychic, it's pretty good against Mewtwo in this case. He's lacking Shadow Ball. I'm just gonna decide to go for the Parasound and make his turns pretty much totally blanked out. There's nothing he can do. I'm gonna pretty much seal the deal with Parasound, as I can pretty much just stall him down a little bit to where the count is gonna go to 1, so I can switch out easily and proceed to destroy him with the help of the Parasound. So it all comes down to one less remaining Pokemon for my Celebi to wall completely, switch out to my Ho-Oh with that little bit of a core going on, Grass, Psychic, and Flying Fire. It's not the best core out there, but in this certain situation it proved to be quite useful. So as long as I had my Ho-Oh to help me out, you know, I had a chance. If I would have lost my Ho-Oh pretty early in the match, this was a strategy I was kind of really building on. 70% in the game, I've started to realize that in order to take down this Mewtwo, I need to curse out Frustration, but T-Bolt's being faster than me. You know, he's got that other Pokemon that Celebi cannot take on, his own Ho-Oh, so I'm gonna need to take that first Pokemon down so the Parasound can take his Mewtwo down with complete ease. But that was the game for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Good game to my fellow opponent, and if you did enjoy it, don't forget to like the video. It helps this series grow, so more people can see it, more people can enjoy it, and hopefully join the party. I have the guide itself in the description, and that's gonna be all for today. Thank you for your time, and until next time, take care.